All right, so today we're going to talk a bit about density. This is a tutorial video for you to help you with some of the extra bits and pieces. We want to look at some practice problems and do some sample calculations. I'm going to run through them very slowly. I'm going to do about 6 sample problems, and then you should be able to go afterwards to some practice problems that I've set up in a Quizlet for you online to show what you know. So, getting started. We've got to calculate density from experimental data in chemistry. It's important that you remember that we need to include units for the mass and the volume. Mass is always G, or grams. Volume is always ml, for milliliters. Your density unit is always going to be grams per milliliter. And don't forget to include those units. Numbers in chemistry mean nothing unless you tell us what you're measuring. So, here's a sample problem for you. If I have 2.75 grams of a substance and it occupies a volume of 250 milliliters, if I want to find the density, I'm going to use this equation, D equals M over V, or mass over volume. I'm going to plug in what I know. I know that the mass was 2.75. I know the volume is 250. That's 2.75 divided by 250. When I plug that into my calculator, I'm going to get that the density is 0.011. Not quite finished. You have to include the units. This was grams. This is milliliters. My unit has to be grams per milliliter. Cool? Sorry about the writing. Let's try that. All right. Next. Let's say the density is given to me and it's 10.5 grams per milliliter, and I want to find the mass of a sample of Ag or silver that occupies 965 milliliters of space. To do this, I'm going to plug in everything that I know into the density equation. So if I know that density equals mass over volume, I have the density, it's 10.5. I don't know the mass, so I'm going to label that X because that's my unknown that I'm solving for. And then the volume is 965. You're going to use the same rules you use in algebra. Chemistry is math. So if I want to isolate this for my X variable, and I have 965 in the denominator, I need to multiply both sides by 965. So to do that, I'll multiply this side by 965. Don't forget, whenever you do one thing to one side of the equation, you want to do it to the other side as well. So both sides are going to get multiplied by 965. My 965s are going to cancel out on this side, and I'm going to get X equals 965 times 10.5. Grab my calculator, 965 times 10.5. I'm going to move things around here, but I'll get X equals 10132.5. And I need a unit. So I was solving for mass. I have to be in grams. So don't forget to include that. We're looking at problems that are set up a little differently, and we need to solve for volume. That's going to be a little more complicated, but you're going to follow the exact same rules that you would do in your math classes. So we have a density, and we're going to use the same equation. Density is mass over volume. We have a density of 0.00134. So density is 0.00134. We want to know the volume. Volume is on the bottom. That's our unknown. That'll be x. But we do know the mass. It's 250. Now I have to figure out how to isolate my x variable. To do that, it's on the bottom. We need to first move that to the top so that we can eventually get to something where where x is all by itself and I have only x on one side of the equation. So I'm going to multiply both sides by x. Once I do that, these x's cancel out. And now I'm left with 0.00134 times x equals 250. So I'm almost there. The next thing that I need to do to have x all by itself is, we'll change colors so that it's easy to see my steps. We're going to divide both sides by this 0.00134. Okay, once you do that, this cancels out. And now I can simplify my equation. I'm going to go up here, and I get x equals 250 divided by 0.00134. That's going to give me a value of, give me some calculator time, hold on, 186,567. But I need a unit. I'm looking for volume. This is going to be milliliters. There's my answer. If you aren't sure of your answer, you can always go back in and plug it into the equation and see if it makes sense. So I'm going to erase a bit of stuff here, give myself some room so that I can check my work. Good enough. And let's plug it in and see if I get the same density. I said the density is supposed to be 0.00134. I know that the mass was 250 grams. I'm saying that the density is 186,567. I can plug that into my calculator, see if I get the same thing. 250 divided by 186,567. I'm going to get 0.00134. So I'm good to go. Awesome. I hope you hear my dogs barking. That's Bella and Sprocket. They're trying to say hi and that they would eat you. All right, moving on. So if I want to find the volume that 35.2 grams of carbon tetrachloride, that's going to be carbon with 4 chlorines, will occupy if it has a density of 1.6 grams per milliliter, we'll set this one up the same way. D equals M over V. I want the volume. I know the density is 1.6. I know the mass is 35.2. Let's plug everything in. I'm going to get 1.6 times 30. Oh, sorry. Talking, writing, and making sense of all this at the same time is actually really tricky. Sorry. 1.6 is going to equal 35.2 divided by my x. All right. So now I'm going to do this the same way I did the last problem. I've got x on the bottom, which I don't like. So I'm going to multiply both sides by x. That's going to cancel these out. Now I get 1.6 times x equals 35.2. That is a 2, I promise. Sorry, screen's a little tricky. Divide both sides by 1.6. And I'm going to get X equals 35.2 divided by 1.6, 22. You need a unit. It's volume. It's got to be milliliters. Okay. Moving on. Let's try this one. Density is mass over volume. I have a density. It's 0.789. I want to find the mass if I know that the volume is 150. So now, again, mass is what I don't know. That's X. My volume is 150. So this one I'm going to solve a little differently. I need to get X all by itself, and I'm now dividing by 150. So I can just multiply both sides by 150 to get my answer. Times 150 times 150. You're going to get X equals, these cancel out, 150 times 0.0789. Oops, sorry. 0.789. You're going to get 118.35. What's your unit? Grams. All right, I hope that helped. I do have some additional resources. You can find them on Canvas. There's a practice Quizlet. It's located in those Canvas Unit 2 resources, and you'll find it right under where you found this video. I hope that helps. I hope this didn't bore you to death. I hope you couldn't hear my dogs too well in the video. And I hope you're having a great weekend. Thanks. Bye.